this is Tina Sibley, and in this video I'm going to show you how you can create awesome webinars using Hangouts, and you don't need to buy a particular webinar platform. How cool is that? So I'm going to take you through how you achieve this without having to lay out any money at all on fancy webinar platforms. You can do the whole thing using your existing autoresponder and WordPress website pages. All right, okay, so it needs to be said actually that in order to do this, you do need to know how to set up a page using either your existing optimized press or lead pages or whatever it is that you're using to set up opt-in pages. And you also need to know how to marry that up with your autoresponder. Okay, so as long as you know how to do that, then this video will help you to create webinars but without having to buy any platforms or kit or anything like that, which is really rather cool. Okay, so let me take you through the flow of this then, first of all. So the key elements you're going to need is you are going to need to set up web pages. You're obviously going to need the Google Hangout, and I've got some separate videos on showing you how to use Google Hangouts. And then you're going to need your email campaigns. So those are the three parts that are important in setting up your webinars. So the flow then is that your customers come to a registration page where it gives them all the details about your webinar, what it's going to cover, and it's going to capture their name and email address. And then when they click on the old submit or register, then two things are going to happen. Number one, they're going to get taken to a thank you page. And then they're going to be put onto your autoresponder list where you're going to set up a bunch of pre-webinar emails. Okay, so welcoming them, reminding them and all that kind of stuff. Then they are going to be taken to the webinar event page. Now this can be done whether you're setting up live webinars or whether you're setting up an automated webinar. So again, this is really cool because some live webinar platforms are really expensive, and then you have to pay a shed load of other money to run automated webinars in some cases. Some webinar platforms do both, but what's really cool about the system that I'm going to show you is you can set up live and automated webinar events using this process. And then finally, you've got the webinars, the follow-up emails after the webinar has taken place. All right, so that's the flow. So let's have a look at the very first part of this process, and that is setting up your registration page. Okay, so your registration page basically wants to look something like this, and you can set this up yourself on your own website using, whatever software that you currently use to get people into your system when you're giving them your freebie, your free ebook, or your free video series or whatever. There are certain elements that you're going to need. Obviously, you've got your headlines, you've got the, you might want to add a video, you may not want to add a video. But obviously the key things is this little opt-in box here where you've got the ability for them to put their name and email address and then click register for the webinar. Okay, so that's one example. Now this is an opt-in page that I've built using just optimized press, and it's the old optimized press as well. So you could set up your registration page something like this, where you've got the main content and information about the webinar on the left. You can have then a little video up on the top right hand corner rather than the video in the other example. The video was the main part of it and filled the main part of the screen. But you might decide that you want to put more information actually on the page on the left hand side and have the video in a smaller box up there on the top right. You can make your opt-in page look exactly as you want to. All it is, the registration page for your webinar is simply an opt-in page. Okay, so if you've already built opt-in pages for your freebies, you can build a registration page for your webinar, which is all very cool. Now, obviously, once people have, just coming back to the flow again, so once people have, once you've created your opt-in page, and again, as I said, you can use OptimizePress 1 or 2, you can use lead pages, you can use pages within Infusionsoft, you can use a particular theme that you've got in WordPress, or or you could get your website developer to do something fancy, if you're working with a website developer rather than doing it yourself. But basically, you just need to build your own registration page. Once we've done that, obviously, we've got to have somewhere to send them to when they click on that submit button. So therefore, we want a thank you page. And this is a bog standard page. Once again, you can have a video on there, you can have images on there. The things which are really important, though, are you set up a nice headline just saying, yes, thanks, you've registered for the webinar. You might want to tell them what's going to happen next. So you may want to tell them that they're going to receive an email. You want to perhaps tell them that they're going to get a welcome email telling them that they've registered. If you're doing double opt-in, you need to tell them to click on it, that kind of stuff, and tell them what to expect next. And then also give them confirmation. And here we've got the custom URL to the webinar. That's quite simply going to be a link to the event page where you're going to be holding your Hangout event. And I'll show you how to do that later on within this video. Nice idea if you can to put sharing icons on here. I've actually set this up within EasyWebinar platform, which has got a special thing that they can, you can set up a reward to unlock a gift. Now, you may not have that ability, especially if you're just using a bog standard WordPress page to do your thank you page, but you can at the very least put please share news of this webinar and then put your social sharing links on there. Okay, so again, it's all very simple. It is all what you're used to doing already with your existing, opt-in process where you would put the freebie. Okay, so nice and simple. You just need to set up a thank you page. Okay, so what we're also going to do now is think about the pre-webinar email series. So whether you're using Infusionsoft or Aweber or MailChimp, you just want to set up a series of webinars, emails that are going to go out reminding people about your webinar. So what emails are you going to need? Well, first of all, you want an initial email that is going to be sent out immediately that they click on the register button to give them confirmation that their webinar place is reserved. So that needs to go immediately. And in that, you can put things such as thanks for registering for the webinar, remind them what is going to be covered in the webinar. You may want to put in there, for example, a webinar workbook or crib sheet or anything of that nature, just to kind of build anticipation and build desire for them actually showing up on the webinar that they have now registered for. Okay, so they need to get that email straight away. And then you want to send a couple of reminders. Now, when you send these will depend upon how much time there is between you advertising the webinar and when it takes place. So if you're advertising a webinar that's going to take place in a week, then it's a good idea to send that reminder maybe 2 days before or the day before. It's entirely up to you. But again, the reminder should include all the reasons that they registered for the webinar in the first place. So remind them the benefits of attending the webinar and what they're going to discover and learn on the webinar. And also, you might want to tell them that you might want to give them an incentive and say that at the end of the webinar, you're going to give them a link to a free bonus for attending and then staying to the end. So tell them what that is so that they think, well, yeah, I want to show up so I can get my hands on that. You then want to send a second reminder at some point, and again, when this goes will depend on the overall timing. So you could send reminder 1 2 days before, and you can send reminder 2 on the morning of the webinar, or you might want to send it a couple of hours before. really the timings are entirely up to you. You could send a third reminder if you want to, if there's a lot of time. So you could send reminder 1 2 days before, reminder 2 on the morning, and then you could set a third reminder something like 2 hours before, something of that nature. Some people send out one of their reminders an hour before. That is entirely up to you. And I'm going to leave that to you to decide, because it depends on your audience, it depends on timescales and all of that kind of stuff too. But finally, you do want to send a notification that the webinar is about to start. And that could go anything from 15 to 30 minutes before. Saying, hey, you know, the webinar is about to start, time to stop what you're doing, grab a cup of coffee, get pen and, you know, note paper, and, you know, get prepared to take some great notes and fabulous learning from what is going to be an absolutely awesome webinar. Now, these obviously the immediate email is nice and simple and straightforward. The timings of the others are going to depend upon the ability of whichever autoresponder that you're using. You might find that depending on the software that you're using, you can set it to go a couple of hours before or 15 minutes before. Some of that might be limited by what your autoresponder can do. And it may well be that you cannot get your emails to be automated to go a day before. Shouldn't be too much difficulty, because you can set most autoresponders to send an email broadcast on a particular date. What you might have trouble with is where not all autoresponders may give you the option to send them at a particular time. If that's the case, you may need to do some of these by manual broadcast. But it's important that you schedule the time in. If it can't be all automated, that you schedule the time in. Right, I'm going to send these reminder emails at these times. All right. So that covers your pre-webinar emails. It's actually simple and straightforward. You just need to get it all set up. Obviously, if you're using a dedicated webinar platform that you've bought, you set all of this up within that platform, and then it all happens on autopilot. But actually, even if you buy a webinar platform, you've still got to do the work to set this up within the platform. So it's not that much extra work to do this on your own without having to buy a dedicated webinar platform. All right, so the next part then, we've done our registration page and thank you page, and we've done our pre-webinar email series. So what we've now got to do is send people to the webinar event page. And by the way, I should have mentioned also in your pre-webinar emails that you repeat the link for them to click on at the given time. And what that link, so the link that you set up on your thank you page, so the custom URL that you send them to, and the link that you're going to send them to from your pre-webinar emails is the link to the webinar event page. And what you do here is set up a page that looks something a bit like this. And all you need is a banner if you want to put your branding on it, an awesome webinar title, a super duper subtitle. Now, if you're doing an automated, setting this up as an automated webinar, you just get a video that you're going to put up here of a webinar that you've previously recorded. If you're doing it live, then you just need to embed the Google Hangout onto the page. And again, I'll show you how to do that in a separate video. But essentially, the Google Hangout, you just click on the links, which is in the Google Hangout. And what you're going to do is you're going to take the you're going to take the video embed code if it's a live one, and you're going to put that onto the page. But I'm going to show you how to do that in a separate video. So you put your Hangout video there. Okay, so another thing that you might want to do is put on a comments option onto the page. So you can add just WordPress comments, or you can add a Facebook comments. I've just literally enabled on my WordPress page, enabled Facebook comments here, and that works really well. so that it's got the look and the feel of a webinar rather than just a video on a page. And obviously if this is going to be live, then even better, because the comments can happen live. One other thing that you might want to put on there, which I haven't got on this example, is just below the video you might want your buy now button, or your add to cart, or register now, join now, or whatever button is appropriate for the offer if you're making an offer at the end of the webinar. So that is how you put your event page together. And again, you just do that within ordinary WordPress pages, optimized press lead pages, or any of those options. So once you've done that, the thing that's going to happen after the webinar is you want your post-webinar email series. And again, you can set these up either through a timing event and do it automated, or you can send the broadcasts out manually. But what you really want is the webinar, post-webinar emails. You want to send obviously the replay. Now the great thing is that if it's a live webinar, you just use the same page. It's just that you then embed the video rather than the live hangout onto that page. So you'd need to go and grab the recording from YouTube if you're doing the Hangouts on Air live, and then just embed that onto, and again I'm going to show you that in a separate video on how to embed the video or the live hangout onto the page. So you just send an email saying, thanks for registering for the webinar. You can either send a generic email, say, to everybody, whether they attended or not, saying, thanks for registering. If you made it, I hope you enjoyed it. If you didn't make it, not to worry, here's the replay. And then any other message that you want to give them, such as the offer that I made runs out on Sunday, so be sure to act. And if you haven't watched the webinar yet, I made a really super duper special offer that is only available up until Sunday, so make sure you watch before then, that kind of stuff. Personalize it wherever possible. So now by personalizing, I don't mean just using the autoresponder to say hi first name, but personalize it wherever possible, as far as your funnel will allow and your automated software will allow. So for example, if you're using Aweber, then see if you can also tie that in with other lists by setting rules. Like for example, I use Infusionsoft, and I use tagging with Infusionsoft to say whether or not the people who are on the webinar are already customers, or whether they've never bought before, and if they are already customers, what they've bought. So for example, if I'm doing a webinar all about Wicked Webinars and I'm selling my Wicked Webinars program, if they're not yet customers, I'll be saying something along the lines of, don't forget your the offer to buy Wicked Webinars, the discounts and the bonuses run out on Sunday, so you got until Sunday to make your mind up. However, I often get people on my webinars who are already customers. So if they've already bought Wicked Webinars, I can personalize it by sending them a different email saying, obviously the offer I made doesn't apply to you because you've already got it. However, what you might want to know is, and I might direct them to a different product, or to becoming a VIP client or something of that nature. And what you might want to do is actually, rather than just have one email, have a complete follow-up campaign, especially for people who've not yet bought yet, so that you send them reminders. Okay, because people often need reminding. Oh yes, I was going to do that, and they might think, yes, I'll buy that, but I don't get paid till Friday, so I'll do it Saturday. And then by Saturday, they've had a few sleeps, they've forgotten about it, and then they'll get an email saying, don't forget, last chance offer runs out tomorrow, and they might go, oh yes, I need to do that. So do send out a complete follow-up campaign and not just one email sending out the replay. And that's pretty much it, really. I mean, how personalized you get depends on the capability of your autoresponder and any tagging or, lists or list segmentation or rules that you can set up to personalize it. If not, if you can't make that distinction, just send out one generic email campaign to everybody. And you will start getting results. But the beauty of it is, as I've hopefully demonstrated in this little short video, you do not need to buy expensive webinar software to run webinars. You can do it using your existing autoresponder and web page setup in conjunction with Google Hangouts. So that's it. As I say, this video is in conjunction with other training videos on how to use Google Hangouts, and I've got a separate little video on how to embed those videos onto your webinar event page. So that's it for me now. I hope you found this really useful, and I want to encourage you to get out there running webinars, because now not being able to afford webinar software is not a barrier. So I look forward to seeing how you're getting on. Cheerio.